Arcane is a masterpiece. The animation, the art style, the fight scenes, everything is on another level. The character development and world building is top tier. Seriously, it's the kind of storytelling that I strive for in every project of mine. What's going on YouTube? My name's Adam, also known as Beyond Impossible, and it's been a while. It's been a long while. But don't worry, I'm aiming for weekly uploads moving forward because I'm using my school's passion projects in order to make these videos, so school's not going to be a roadblock for a while now. On theme with passion, I want to make videos that are something I feel passionate about, not just what's popular at the time. And one thing that's been on my mind for a little while actually is Arcane. I absolutely love the show. It's easily the best show I've ever watched. And even better, I watch it with my girlfriend, so it means a little bit more to me. I might be a little late on the hype train for Season 2, but I want to make art based on the coolest character in the show, Jinx. So today, I'll be drawing Jinx in these 6 different styles. Let me know in the comments down below which of these styles is your favorite, and if you have any styles you'd like to see me try in the future. And with all of that being said, enough talking, let's get into the first drawing. Arcane. The first style I'm tackling is the Arcane style, and it's going to set the foundation for the other styles we'll see later on. I'm using this reference here from Arcane Season 2 promo art. The goal with this first style isn't to blow you away, but to really capture the elements that define Jinx's character. Things like her long braided hair, her expressive eyes, those iconic nails, and her overall broken appearance. It only took me 2 sketches to get this one down. The first attempt, which you saw earlier, didn't quite have the right head shape. Jinx's face has this surprisingly sharp quality to it, and it's a great example of how Arcane designs faces. It's actually very similar to the Loomis head, a method used by artists to understand the structure of a human head and how light interacts with it. If you look closely, the way Arcane lights his characters and defines his facial features draws from this technique. The shading and shapes on the faces are spot on, and it's what gives the show its distinct look. Now, I mentioned lighting earlier, but I think where style truly shines is in its use of color and shading, and Arcane knocks it out of the park. The color choices and symbolism in the show are just brilliant. Take blue, for example. It's often linked with sadness in media, but in Arcane, it represents progression and potential, especially with Hextech. So in a way, Jinx becomes this unique character caught between the 2 opposing sides, embodying both sadness and hope. A fun little detail I picked up on while working on this drawing, Jinx's blue and pink nails are a combination of her own colors and her sister's. And here's the finished drawing. I am very proud of it. Using colored pencils to replicate a digital style is a challenge, but I'm really proud of the skin tones and accuracy in the face and hair. But let's not get too excited, as this is just a copy of another piece. Moving forward, I'm designing new characters to fit in their particular worlds and styles, putting myself in the artist's minds, as if they were taking a loose description of the character and making it fit in their own worlds. Let me know what you think of this drawing down below, and let's get into the next one. Pokemon. Next up, we've got the Pokemon style, which is something I've been working on for a while, though I've never tried drawing a human character in it. Pokemon is one of the biggest franchises in the world, spanning cards, games, merchandise, you name it. And across all that, the art has evolved a lot. But whether it's watercolor from the early days or the more recent Legends ZA art, you can always tell it's Pokemon. But what makes it so recognizable? What's the secret behind the style? When I thought of how to reimagine Jinx in the Pokemon world, the first thing that hit me was how her anti-hero vibe wouldn't quite fit. So instead, I reimagined her as a poison-type gym leader. Someone who's more of a street artist than a supervillain. I pictured her doing graffiti in the neglected corners of a big city. Still a rebellious spirit, but with a twist of good intentions. With that in mind, I added some unique touches to her design, like paint-like makeup under her eyes and dripping paint on her nails. The blue and pink color scheme felt natural to carry over, as there is such a defining feature of her character. And of course, Rafai seemed like the perfect Pokemon to accompany her. So I gave him a spot on her shoulder. One thing I've learned when designing Pokemon characters is that you need at least 1 or 2 exaggerated features. For Jinx, her long braids were already a perfect fit, so I used the paint as my second key feature. Another crucial aspect is the color palette. You want it to be vibrant and thought out. The bright blue and pink did feel right here. Honestly, this was probably the most seamless style I saw of them all. The character and colors fit together so naturally. That said, I'm not fully happy with the eyes and the head proportion. I've been trying to refine it during the process, but looking back, I probably should have made a few more sketches before committing to inking this one. And there we go, Jinx in the world of Pokemon. A poison-type gym leader of the lower city, bringing hope to those around her with bright, lively paintings. The idea is probably the best in the entire video. Unfortunately, it is one of the poorest executed. I will have to practice drawing human characters in this style. The eyes are kind of lazy, and although Jinx's eyes are purple, it seems odd in this design. They are also far too big. The hand is also very awkward. I need some practice with drawing hands in the coming weeks. In the end, I'm proud of the concept of this design, but not the finished drawing. Let's see if I can design something I'm proud of in the next one. Comic book. This piece marks the start of Jinx's darker designs in this video. When I think about her character in this style, I really see her as a comic book villain. Kind of a cooler, more complex version of Joker. That was the main inspiration for this style, so I gave her a big menacing smile and a face design that's reminiscent to the Joker's, as that's kind of my only plan going into this one. I experimented with a few ideas for the left side of the composition. At first, I thought maces at the end of her hair would be a cool touch, then I considered giving her her signature shark bazooka. But in the end, I decided to scrap all of that. But is it just me, or does Jinx give off pirate vibes? I'm not sure why, but something about the outfit, especially the pants, just feels pirate-like. So I decided to lean into that aesthetic. Honestly, a modern pirate-inspired comic series would be a lot of fun, like a mix of Marvel and One Piece. I'd enjoy it. Now with the comic style, I wanted to capture that classic DC vibe, especially the heavy shading and detailed line art. I had a blast doing that. A lot of the cross-hatching around the face and shaded areas helped to give the piece more depth. I might have gone a bit too heavy on the right side of her face with the shading, but the hair covered most of it, so it turned out fine. For the shirt textured, I used stippling, which is just adding little dots to create that textured look. It took about 40 extra minutes, but it really added a unique texture to the piece that I think makes it stand out. However, I feel like I missed the mark on the fabric folds. The way the striped pants and shirt react to the movement of her pose doesn't feel quite right. And I'll be honest, the hand placement wasn't ideal either. I kind of hid the hand, but even then, it ended up looking flat, almost like a box. I definitely need more practice with drawing hands. Overall, I think Jinx transitions well into the comic book style. Her unstable, chaotic nature makes her a great fit for that kind of villain role, just like she is in Arcane. I had a lot of fun building on that aspect of her character in this design. So, here is Jinx, as the Queen of Pirates, in a comic book setting. I think again, much like the Pokemon style, this captured Jinx's personality and magnified some important features to create a strong character. Despite some minor issues like the hand and the way the clothing and hair flow, I do like this piece overall. Tell me what you think of this drawing, and let's get into the next one. Moving on. Tim Burton. Tim Burton is one of the most recognizable styles out there. His creations like Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride have become iconic for their unique look. Personally, I've always seen Tim Burton and Dr. Seuss as sort of opposites. It's a bit of a shame I didn't choose a Dr. Seuss style in this video for this. Both take elements and exaggerate them to the extreme. Take Jinx, for example, in this drawing. Her eyes are exaggerated to an almost comical degree. But this wasn't totally random. It actually came directly from Arcane, specifically Jinx's Wanted posters, where they gave her large, haunting eyes. With gangly limbs and sharp nails, I stretched her features even further into something disturbingly disproportionate. A fun challenge I had with this, and the next two pieces, was that I drew them upside down. The paper didn't fit on my desk to film and draw in the traditional way, so I just worked with it and then flipped it for you to see. As for Jinx's character, with her darker moments in the show, I figured the design would reflect that. Apologies if that's a spoiler or this drawing is a spoiler, but that just means you're way too far behind to care. I chose to have Jinx holding a finger gun to her head, with a blast of blue and pink. And speaking of blue and pink, the color palette here is crucial. I started by picking the ugliest versions of colors. Take your ugliest blues, browns, and tans, and then I muddied them up even more with grays. The main focus was to use cool grays for the overall feel, while keeping the pink bright as a strange, unsettling accent to the design. If Tim Burton were to design Jinx, I think he'd take her instability and force it into a constant state of depression or struggle, almost as if he was using her character to comment on modern issues surrounding mental health. And here's Jinx as an overbroken teen in the dark, twisted world of Tim Burton's imagination. I do think the head shape and arm posing is off. We can blame this on her being drawn upside down, as it looks fine like that. I am proud of this design, and I truly think it fits something Burton would do with the prompt of Jinx. I hope you like this design too, and let's get into the next one. Picasso. When we think of Picasso, we often picture those iconic Cubist-inspired portraits, shapes scattered around in a way that feels both strange and uncanny. While that's style most of us associate with him today, Picasso didn't just work in this style. One of the more interesting phases of his life is what we call his blue period. This was during the time he was in Paris, and his art was dominated by shades of blue and blue-greens, often revolving around themes of sadness and melancholy. The blue period emerged after the tragic death of Picasso's close friend, combined with the poverty and despair he faced while living in Paris. For this piece, I wanted to reference this period while still sticking to his more recognizable designs. Jinx was a perfect fit for this sad theme, especially since blue is such a dominant color in her design. Earlier I mentioned how blue represents two things in the show, but here I chose to focus on just one, Jinx's overwhelming sadness and pain. I also used small pops of tans and oranges as a glimpse of hope in an otherwise somber palette. This style was definitely one of the quicker and easier ones to do. It only took about an hour, and that's mainly because of how tricky it was to achieve the flat yet blended look in each of the sections. I mentioned the shark gun in the comic style drawing earlier, but I decided to bring it back here to help break up the silhouette. It also allowed me to incorporate some interesting language with the eye and teeth. My biggest regret with this piece was using the dark black outlines around the shapes. I feel like it would have matched the style better if I had been more thoughtful about how I divided the sections and worked with the shapes themselves. Here's Jinx in the Picasso style, sorta. After completing the drawing, I looked through Picasso's pieces, as I like to see how close I was when I'm done. Unfortunately, I'd have to say this one is not it. I'm proud of the connection back to his blue period, which I think is an interesting bit of the artist's life. But even then, this is too clean and too intentional to match the style, and the black lines in every shape ruins the whole thing. I'll have to call this one a bit of a failure. Let's see if I can get something good for the last one. Honestly, this one was supposed to be my own style. But I was running short on time, so I ended up mixing a little bit of everything that inspires me. I'm still not sure if I even have a style yet. I started with a simple pencil portrait of Jinx from the side, something clean and satisfying to look at. But like with the initial Arcane drawing, I made the same mistake of misshaping Jinx's head. She's got a sharp facial structure, and I rounded it off a bit. The hair, though, might be the closest thing to my style. I like using colors in ways they're not supposed to be used, like putting reds on top of a blue to create a weird accent. It's not about blending the colors, but about breaking expectations. To me, color can symbolize anything, and that's why I use it so deliberately. I want to avoid letting the colors set the mood for you right away. Every color can symbolize something good or bad, and it's up to the artist to define what that is. Despite that, I still think this could have been a solid piece. but then I added random doodles and the hair for no real reason, until I was starting to get a bit tired of drawing by this point. I threw in a shark, a monkey, a ghost, and next, just little random designs to fill in the space. I can't really say this is my style, I'll be honest about that. But I did finish it, and that's an accomplishment in itself. All in all, I spent almost 20 hours on these drawings. I really hope they were worth it, and that you enjoyed the art. I put a lot of time, research, and effort into these pieces for your entertainment. Alright, I'll get off my soapbox now. Time for the super sick shots of the finished project. Let's go! Wow, that was a long video. I appreciate all of you guys who stuck around to the end here, and I know you're tempted to click off now that it's over, but give me a few seconds. This video took me well over 24 hours of filming, planning, research, and then doing these drawings themselves all take a lot of time, and I'd appreciate it if you'd take some time to leave a comment down below and tell me where I can improve on any or all of those tasks. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And with that all being said, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!